Okay, it's 5 o'clock and January 21st, 2025. I'm going to call the meeting of the MW and Light Commission to order. Can I have Clerk Trina take roll call?
Yes, Mayor Morris,
Here.
Commissioner Tankersley,
Here.
Commissioner Elmer has not joined us yet. He was traveling and will try to join if he can. Commissioner Garvin.
Here.
Commissioner Macy Baker.
Here.
Great. Okay, we have 3 items that are on the consent agenda. Would any commissioner like to remove anything from the agenda?
No, thank you.
No? Okay. So can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, passes. Included in the packet are the accounts payable and purchasing reports. Are there any questions from any of the commissioners? Perfect. There's no motion on that. We don't have any new employee introductions tonight. Next, we have a consultant and partner reports. We have Brent Keller, who is our forester, to update the commission on the management activities.
Thank you, Mayor. As far as the 2024 stumpage sales go, Boise Cascade, who bought the 304 one-road sale, that was a 2-year contract, actually made their second half payment this week. And so that sale's been completely paid for. They'll actually begin harvest operations here in the next few months. We started looking already at some of the road work that needs to be done ahead of that and so on. So they'll be working on that early in the season this year. 550 Road number 3 sale was harvested last year, and since I wrote the letter, the nursery did get the seedlings lifted. It had been delayed because of all the wet weather, which prevented them from getting out in the fields. But those did get lifted and packed, and we started bringing those over today. So the cooler's full and working up there at the watershed, and anticipate planting now, probably starting on Thursday. So we're off and running with that. It's good timing. 2025 stumpage sales got out, emailed those out for bid last Friday. We opened bids on the 12th, which is the Wednesday before the February commission meeting. About 3.8 million board feet total for this year's program, and so we'll see how bids come in. The log market has come up steadily throughout the fall and continues to go up. So as usual, I guess it's good timing for our sales. So.
Cool.
Questions?
Brent, can you tell us roughly how many trees we plant in an average year, please?
It's probably about 70,000.
And
And probably a quarter or a third of that is interplanting.
Last year, I know it was about close to 90,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
So we plant about 450 trees an acre initially. Then we go back. So we plant that in the winter, go back in the fall and do a regen survey. If it's anywhere less than 300 survive, then we plan on interplanting it. We keep doing that until we get 2 consecutive years of successful regen surveys. So we're never, don't miss something and go out there in 10 years and it's just brush. And so that's critical when you're not spraying too. To be on top of that interplanting and
so that
brush
would,
control by hand and stuff.
so that would be 2 consecutive years of at least 300
Mhm.
per acre.
And then we feel like
Okay.
you're pretty much in the clear then by then. So
And Brent, could you explain why we don't spray, please?
just it's a watershed, so it's a water quality issue.
The 2025 stumpage sales, are they gonna be 2-year contracts like the Boise sale?
One will be the 350 Boundary Road. It's a 2-year contract.
Brent, you came up with that idea, what, 4 or 5 years ago, that would be more marketable to timber companies if they could have 2 years. And so we are doing one way, one the other way. We've been doing that, although a couple of years ago we did them both 1 year. It was when we were cutting by the power line.
Oh,
And we wanted it done then. So we just had 1-year contracts like usual, like we used to do, but this seems to work. People seem to appreciate it. Then because it's a stumpage sale, they pay us for the growth. So
Mhm.
it's not like we were doing a growth sale and they let it grow for a year and not pay for it. They're paying for the growth too. So
And there's no real delay in the money coming in because we require a half payment in July and then the second half in January. So like Boise's completely paid for the sale when they've even started, which they're happy to do just to be able to buy that flexibility.
Yeah.
And be able to bank on this wood when they want to. And so,
Inventory on the stump.
I mean, stumpage sales are the way to go anyway. There's a huge advantage to that. But then if you add that additional time, it really sweetens the deal for a lot of folks. And then if the market's kind of rocky and they're unsure, more peace of mind there too, that you can
and Brett, they
have more time.
post bonds, right? So we're not just hoping they'll pay us.
Right, yeah, the whole entire sale is bonded, yeah, so,
Awesome.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well, thank you for that.
yeah,
Yep.
thank you.
thank you.
Right.
Thanks, Brett.
And we have one staff report tonight, Julie Adam, Communications Coordinator.
That gets that up there. I'll just tell you a little bit about myself since I don't normally present at these. I'm the communications coordinator. I've been here going on 2 years now. My background is I worked at newspapers for about 20 years, and then I moved into communications. In my last job, I was communication coordinator at the University of Kansas School of Journalism. So, but I'm thrilled to be here and doing communications for McMinnville Water and Light. And so my presentation, just going to kind of give an overview about our communications and in looking back on the things that we did last year. So, and then a little bit of looking forward. So our communications objectives are here, and you'll see that they're very customer focused. And our goal is to just remind our customers that we are a valued part of this community and have been for more than 130 years, and of the value that they get from being our customer. First thing we did last year was a complete website redesign. So I don't know if anybody saw the website before. Obviously, if you did, you know that it was needed. And our current website now, it's much more modern and customer friendly. And the great thing about it is we can post outage information easier and quicker. So with that banner at the top, right up there, that green banner, when there's an outage, it'll be red, and I can do it pretty quickly and just let customers know the status of the outage. Right now, we have it up here. We have rebates and incentives, so we can switch it out to different colors, and it's really, really helpful to have that. The other thing that we really like is that English-Spanish toggle button, which we didn't have previously. So what we really focused on last year are community outreach. And a great way for us to do that is the farmers markets. So we did the last 2 years, we did 3 dates, farmers markets, May, June, and July. And the things we talk about in the farmers markets to the customers are energy efficiency, incentives that we have, and rebates, conservation. Obviously, if you're conserving water, you're conserving energy, you're saving money. So we tell them all about our rebates and our energy efficiency projects, loans. And then to kind of get them to come over, we give them some freebies. So last year we gave them these moisture meters. It helps them save water. We also have these water leak tablets that you can put in your toilet to see if you have a leak. So that's kind of the main thing we focus on with our customers, but also what we did last year for the first time, and this kind of was in response to the Springfield winter storms, is emergency preparedness. And especially now too, I mean, with the wildfires going on, we really, really want customers to be prepared for not just outages, but I mean, honestly, major disasters. So what we did is we gave away to encourage them to start their own little go bag, we gave out some little giveaways here, a little mini first aid kit, a blanket, there's a compass whistle, and then I also created this brochure so that this is just a starter pack and they can start their own. And then we have a list of items in here where they can start their own. Now, if they don't want to compile all the items themselves, we have this this backpack here, this sample backpack. We just bought it online, and it has all the things that you would need in there to as a go bag for an emergency. So again, just trying to get them to think about it and to start preparing for that. And then, of course, we have fun. We have lots of giveaways for kids. You
And
get
they'll take anybody that comes with there.
So we have giveaways for kids and get the parents to come over and talk to them about, you know, the serious stuff while the kids are picking out their fun things. And yeah, we had a special guest. This guy, he spent one of the farmers market dates with us talking to the customers. He was really helpful, showing the kids how to do a yo-yo.
And I would encourage you to do it, seriously. It was fun, it was interesting. And I got to take the yo-yo home for my granddaughter, so that was very cool.
Tom was great. He answered a lot of questions that, you know, I just didn't know the answer to. So anyway. Other outreach events that we do on an annual basis, we've done the watershed tour, and this year we added electric. So now it's the infrastructure tour. So we invite community leaders on that tour and legislators, also community leaders from other surrounding cities. We take them up to the watershed, to the water treatment plant, and, you know, just tell them all about our watershed. You know, Brent is great. He's right there. Tell him about the watershed. So it's just been a great thing that we have. And this year we're talking about doing this on a kind of a larger scale with just with residents. You know, if we can get a van. The vans are kind of hard to come by, so to rent. What we also did last year in October, we had a special water tour where we invited the Oregon Water Caucus to tour the watershed. They toured the water treatment plant, the Willamette Valley intake site, and the Fox Ridge reservoirs. So that was great. That's Ken Helm. He's the co-chair of the Water Caucus. We also had a lunch and a PowerPoint presentation. I also created a special brochure for that. We were kind of focusing on regional water solutions. So this brochure was all about the Yamhill Regional Water Authority. We've been wanting to get them here for a water tour for a while, so we finally.
And excuse me, but I thought our staff did a great job with Water Caucus people leaving with the thought that we had really competent people who could really accomplish things. So if they're looking for something that they want to invest in, I think they would be receptive to McMinnville Water and Light being the head of this thing. So
Is that brochure on our call to order app somewhere? Did you get a copy of that, Richard?
Yes, I can get you guys all the handouts that I
Thank you.
created. So other outreach events that we do are career fairs. We do the McMinnville High School Grizz Fest every year and Linfield University. And we also present each year to engineering students at McMinnville High School. So I also created these handouts to tell students what a great career utility work is. So, you know, they can take this with them because sometimes the students, they just want the fun toys, but the parents get these, and hopefully that creates a conversation when they get home with those. The other thing, last year, we normally sponsor Lemonade Day, but this year, in addition to just our sponsorship, we also gave the kids in their backpacks these little towels. Because you can't have lemonade without water, and kids are probably gonna spill. So we thought this might be a fun thing to put in their backpacks with that. The other way we reach customers, obviously, is through social media. Our primary platforms are Facebook and Instagram. However, this year we added Nextdoor. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that here in a minute. So our Facebook and Instagram are our primary ways we reach people. And my goal has been 3 posts a week, 1 to 3. I really try to shoot for 3. So you can see these metrics here, and the reach and the visits and the follows, that since the beginning of the year to the end of the year, doing pretty well with those and the extra, posts that we have. And the same thing with Instagram.
Where there's those heavy spikes, was there an event, like an outage or a weather event? or something?
Probably an outage. So our new platform is Nextdoor. So Nextdoor for public agencies, the benefit of that is when we sign up for that, then we are auto-subscribed. Well, everybody in our service territory is auto-subscribed to us. So you can see right there, that's how many members there are in McMinnville in our service area and the households. So when I post, this is the screen I see when I post something, I can drill down to a specific neighborhood of McMinnville. So say, for example, there's an outage on Peavine Road. It's only, affecting a handful of customers. I don't have to send that to everybody. I can just send it to that one area. However, if we have an outage, say somewhere downtown, you'd want to send it to everyone because people there's traffic in that area. But this is great because when you do send an alert, then they immediately get a notification. So they don't have to be going onto the app, they will get a notification. So when there's an outage, they will get an alert. So that's obviously for only people who have Nextdoor, but it's still, I think, a very valuable extra platform for us. The other way that we tell our story, I really focus this year on just beyond our area. So the NWPPA, they are always looking for great content. So they have this email newsletter, and you can send them pictures and they'll put these pictures at the top of their email newsletter. So I sent a couple this year and they use those. And that just, is another way kind of to get a little publicity. And then I also send them stories. So I sent them these stories. We got a whole page in their magazine right there with our emergency communication trailer. And then this little item too about our heat pump incentives. The other thing that we are really focusing on is the outage messaging and just getting that message out there quicker. So the website helps a lot. But as soon as there's an outage, I get a text. And so I post to all these different areas and I keep our customers updated too. That's another thing we learned from the Springfield storms, that customers really want to know when their power is coming back on. So even if you don't know, it's helpful to post. The other thing that I worked on last year is emergency preparedness training. We completed a crisis communications plan, we did a tabletop exercise, and I've done some FEMA trainings, and I plan to do some more FEMA trainings as well. And this, just a little bragging, is we did win some awards, some communication awards. So these handouts won a first place award in the NWPPA Excellence in Communications Award. And we also won a second place for our video on the emergency response drinking trailer that the McMinnville High School students put together.
Good job.
This is kind of the things that we're planning to do for this year. We are going to do a customer survey. We want to focus more on some Spanish services. Just can't do enough with outage preparation and emergency preparation. And then we obviously are doing farmers markets again, and just try to reach out to some other community organizations. And like I said, hopefully we can do some more community tours with the band. And that's it.
Fantastic.
Any questions?
Yeah. I watch all your Facebook posts.
I know you do. You like them, you comment, I appreciate it.
And I love the website. I report lights that are out all the time. Well, not all the time. You guys don't have it. Let me
The ones you see.
clarify that, yes. But it's convenient. I like it. Yeah, easy to do. Thank you. Any
Well,
questions?
this was very helpful to see the big picture of what you're doing.
My one question was gonna be your protocol, and then one of your last slides was your protocol, so.
Great job.
All right,
Thank
I
you.
will, Get you guys some of these handouts.
Hey,
Thank you.
Thanks, Julie.
right. I want to make sure I don't miss Lisa if you have a question, so. Okay, new business. The first item under new business is the election of the chair and clerk of the commission.
Yeah, so thank you, Madam Mayor. So I've been tasked with briefing you a little bit on this. So this is an obligation the commission has every January to elect a chair of the commission and also to elect a clerk. As you can see from the memo, we have a recommendation for you on the clerk position. Actually, beginning last year, we recommended to the commission you actually elect two clerks. Trina Miss McManus kind of operates in kind of the traditional communication role, running the meetings, supporting the commission. But the charter also provides for a financial obligation, a financial role for the clerk. That, as you kind of heard last week, that harkens back to the early foundation of the commission, where the clerk had probably had a broader job. In today's world, the financial responsibilities of the clerk are held and carried on by our director of finances, Mr. Dunmeyer. So our recommendation there is to elect those two employees in that role, perform those roles consistent with their job descriptions. You also have an obligation to elect a chair of the commission. We do not have a recommendation for you. That's up to the commission itself. So with that, it would really two motions
Mhm.
to undertake this, but you can take them in either order. I'll leave that up to you.
I'm going to start with the election of the chair of the commission. Do I have any nominations? I can nominate too, right?
Yes.
Because my different role. I'd like to nominate Tom Pickersley. Do I have any other nominations?
I have a question prior. I should have asked prior to. I don't know if it's the right time.
Go ahead.
Can we have two chairs?
Well, the
Or
charter.
co-chairs, I suppose. Mhm.
Well, it's hard. I guess it's hard for me to say no, in so much we have two clerks. I suppose we could. I don't think traditionally. I don't know in the history of the commission that there's been a time we've had two chairs. I can tell you that if the chair is not available in a meeting, that in any given meeting, that the commission's obligation then is to appoint one of their members to act as the chair. So if we had a meeting where the elected chair was not available, we still had a quorum. Obviously, we need somebody to run the meeting in that case. So the members of the meeting would then have to select one of their own in attendance to act as the chair. So,
Yeah.
but could you have a co-chair?
And the reason I say that is Tom, I believe this is your last year. Is that correct?
Yes.
Tom brings incredible, valuable experience, and would it be smart for the commission to have Tom and then a new chair or co-chair sort of understudy?
I think my personal opinion is I think that we have one chair. And that
Okay.
if somebody's interested in being chair when he leaves, to take that time to follow him and train with him. And I'm sure he's
Okay.
willing to do that.
No, I'd be happy to do that. I'd also be happy to have co-chairs if that's what everybody wants. I will tell you that Lisa, your reason to have them is the only one that makes sense, because to to need a temporary chair in a meeting, the mayor has to be gone and the chair has to be gone. And that, I don't know that that's ever
Yeah.
happened, I can remember, but I am very happy to maybe induce several people, because people won't know if they want to do it yet. We could talk about, what the chair does and go through that. And whether it's chair or not, I'm happy to be available for anybody. So
Right.
Input?
Just throwing it out there. I don't know if anybody else has any input, but thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
No, Lisa's methodology makes sense, but, that would be the only reason I would think Tom wouldn't be the chair, is just so he could download information to whoever he wants to mentor, but I have no problem with Tom being the chair, so I'm happy to second your nomination.
Okay. Any other input?
If anyone is interested in perhaps being chair next year, I would love to talk to him and you don't, I know it's early, so you could just say I might be interested and we can do it that way. So you haven't committed yourself to doing it either.
That's
I
a
would
great
definitely
idea.
download any info that you could share as I share with you at lunch, but
Okay.
I'm not willing to commit to that right now.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Well,
I have
Adam, I was going to suggest you to be the co. To be the co. I'm all about nominating other people.
Well, you're smart to be on Zoom then, rather than just missing the meeting.
Strategic.
I have a motion to elect Tom Tankersley as chair of the commission, and I have a second from Commissioner Garvin. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Congratulations.
Thank you.
And I would highly suggest anybody interested to connect with him for future.
And you don't have to start now. If you discover 3 or 4 months from now, you might be interested, we'll start then.
Perfect.
Sounds good.
Now I need a motion to elect. Do you want to read it or do you want me to go ahead?
We're actually starting great, doing great.
Okay. Motion to elect Trina McManus and Mark Dunmeyer as clerks of the McMinnville Water and Light Commission to perform the duties of the clerk in 2025, consistent with their respective job descriptions. Have a second.
Second.
Any
Well,
discussion?
I guess I moved.
Okay.
Yeah, move.
Second.
Okay. Do I have any discussion?
I will just tell you that last year was the first year we did that, and I think from what the commission saw, it worked fine. It really did, and I think we were closer to being in line of what we were supposed to be doing, with Mark having that title, so.
Perfect. Comments?
Oh, I'm good.
Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, no opposed, so motion passes. Congratulations. All right, next item is to set a public hearing on the contracting method for the facility upgrade project. Chad Hudson, purchasing manager, to present.
Good evening.
Hi, Chad.
Yeah, cue it up a little bit. Well, if that was getting ready, I'll just kind of go over. Tonight, MW&L Architects will be presenting to the commission a recommendation on a project delivery method for phases 0.5 and 1 of the office expansion remodel and warehouse seismic retrofit project. So I just kind of want to give you a little background on how we got here. I feel like I'm repeating myself sometimes when I do this, but I think it's helpful. In 1988, this facility was completed, constructed, the whole existing Marsh Lane campus. At the time of construction, we had approximately 5,000 water meters and about 8,200 electric meters. Since that time, we've more than doubled. Over the last 35 years, since I've been here 21 years, I've seen us add employees, cutting offices, chopping offices, reducing break rooms, taking away meeting spaces. So it's kind of got us to a point where we're at today, where we can no longer do that. We have modified everything we can. So now we're left with undersized break rooms, lack of meeting space. Our all staff meetings are in the break room in the warehouse and it's standing room only, literally. So facility planning really kind of momentum really started kicking up about 2017, 18. We actually presented a draft staff-driven master plan, if you will, or facility plan to the commission. And since then, it's kind of directed us as we move forward through this. Some of the projects we completed in 2019, we did some geotechnical investigation around the facility. Fuel station completed in 2021. 2023, Soderstrom completed the water and light facility master plan, which is kind of bringing us to the point we're at tonight. So we're starting to implement phases of that master plan. And so last month we came to the commission and they approved the contract with architect MW&L Architects to move forward with phases 0.5 and phase 1 of design. So tonight I would like to introduce you to MW&L. I'll let them introduce their team when they get up here, but they're going to talk about the project delivery method that they are recommending for this project. So I would like to bring up Stephen.
Excuse me,
Yep.
Ted, just for a second,
Yep.
could you talk just for a minute about the seismic component of the project, please?
Yeah, so going through the process, and I believe that was when we were working with Soderstrom, one of the things that we come to the commission multiple times, and one of the things that was brought up was the need to upgrade our warehouse was the focal point to bring it up to current code for immediate occupancy standards. So right now, all of our crews are stationed in the warehouse. All of our trucks are in the warehouse, all of the materials. So if we had a major earthquake, it'd be really hard to operate out of that facility as it currently stands. So that was one of the priorities that was brought to the very top of the master planning process, hence the 0.5. That's why we don't have the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It was the 0.5. And it was brought by the commission as a priority of the project. So that's where it at is. Point 1 of the project actually includes a seismic retrofit of this existing structure as well. So I think that's, I think that's kind of what we got. Yeah. So.
Thank you.
Okay, now, without further ado, I will introduce to you Stephen Olhaver. He's our project manager with MW&L.
Do you want me to present on this side or?
Yeah, so you guys can take the cushy chairs.
I didn't know if you wanted me up by the TV.
No, you can change with the pointer right there.
Well, thank you for having us. My name is Stephen Olhaver. I'm the project manager for MW&L for this project. Tonight I have Jeff McGraw. He is the principal of MW&L. We also have with us virtually Brian Knight, who is the principal of WRK. They are the structural engineers for the project. And I think as Chad, Commissioner Tankersley said, seismic is a big part of the project as well. So I'm going to just give this a go here. Let's see. Here we go. Like I said, I'm Stephen Olhaver, and then we also have Brian Knight, who will be your presenters for tonight. I'm the project manager on the architectural side, and Brian is the structural engineer. Basically, what we'd like to do tonight is give you a quick review of the project of phase 0.05 and 1.0 of the campus master plan. We want to talk a bit about the project delivery method and why it matters for this project, in particular, the CMGC project delivery method. CMGC means construction manager / general contractor. And we'll talk a little bit more about that too. We want to talk about the challenges of the project and why this particular project delivery method is suitable for this project. And then we want to talk a little bit more about the recommendation of the project delivery method as well here. So the project, phase 0.5 and 1.0. So phase 0.5 is in all the red on the screen. It consists of the warehouse building and the seismic retrofit to it. It consists of a new transformer yard. Currently, transformer yard is located over here. It'll be relocated to this portion of the site with a secondary containment system. Improved stormwater drainage, there's currently considerable ponding in this portion of the yard. Some previous studies have been done to look at how to alleviate it, and now we're going to be in the implementation phase of it. And then frontage improvements, one of the requirements of the city is to provide additional sidewalk, and we will get more into that as we go through a pre-app meeting with the city to get the full extent of what will be required. And then we move to phase one. Phase one is additions on the east and west side. It is noted in E here for the expansion of the existing facilities, provide more engineering space for those departments here, as well as additionally needed public improvement and public facing spaces, commissioning room, etc. on the east side, as well as additional bathrooms. And then F is the seismic strengthening and refurbishment of the existing facility, again, to create additional office space and break rooms and areas that are undersized currently. It will also incorporate a new public and employee parking lot that will be separated with security so that we can continue with providing a safe way for employees to work at the facility, as well as room for the public to park and come to the open public meetings and account servicing that the utility offers. Yes,
So that dotted blue area is the new public parking
that's what was been
outline.
outlined, yeah, in the campus master plan. So there's actually would be 2 parking lots there, but they need to be developed further to differentiate between the employee and the public parking.
Yeah. And I can wait on this if it'll be addressed later, but
Sure.
on D where you talk about the frontage improvements, is there actually any development happening in that north quadrant?
No, this is based upon a city zoning requirement that says for projects over X amount of dollars, you need to provide a sidewalk on your side of the street. And so these are the areas that we've outlined that currently don't have a sidewalk.
So it's the same tax law and that's why it's triggered for that area. Gotcha.
Yeah.
To fall to Adam's question, is that the same tax lot? Is that what the problem is?
Yeah, it's all one tax line.
That's my understanding. We're going to go through a pre-app meeting with the city where we'll dive deeper into actually what the requirements will be and if this maybe has to be done right now or it can be done later. It's part of the-
As I understand it, there is a technology evolving with less carbon intensive uses of to make the sidewalk materials, the concrete. And so if we wait to put that in, that technology could mature and be available when it comes time to actually do something with that property. Plus, there is a sidewalk across the street, and that's the way they want people to walk down to the park, because there's no way to safely cross the street to get into the park. So if you and staff could, I would appreciate making an effort to avoid doing this now if we don't have to. We realize if we develop that property, we'll need to. But at this point, it's the sidewalk to nowhere.
And that's what I was gonna point out. There's no sidewalk all the way to the first driveway at the mobile home park.
And there's no sidewalk in front of the city's dog park either, right?
Correct.
Oh, so not that mobile home park on the photo, the mobile home park, that's
Yeah, all the way
Yeah.
down at the far end, yeah.
where the wastewater piping is.
Issue, yeah, that one, right.
Those are great comments. Yeah. Looking
I
at-
understand that you
Yeah,
can't just
I-
wave your wand and have it
You're
happen.
preaching to the choir.
But I appreciate you making the effort.
Yeah, and our intent is to have a pre-app with the city where we'll talk with the planning department and we'll bring up these considerations and see how they can work with us.
Thank you.
Project delivery method. So CMGC, Construction Manager General Contractor, it's an alternate contracting method where we have a construction manager involved early in the design phase. And then as the design phase moves into bidding, they transition to a general contractor during construction. This is different than the traditional method of procurement, which is design. You design the project, you put the documents out to bid, and then you build it. This one, the idea is that some of the key features of having a contractor involved early in the design, that they have a cost plus fee in terms of their services for being involved early in the design and lending their expertise, that there's transparent pricing, open books, so that we can see the bids for their subs that come through. We're able to fast track the phases, and then we have more collaborative problem solving because we have the contractor who's acting as the construction manager involved early. And for particular projects that have either more technical challenges or in particular this one where operations are to continue through construction and we have a variety of phasing that's going to happen at the same time, it's just an asset to have the contractor on earlier so that they can be more involved and reduce risk and exposure as we move into the construction phases.
And what's the cons to that process?
The
So those were all the positives of CMGC, but somebody said what would be the negative side of going to that?
If probably you were selecting a project that didn't have some of the qualifications that we were looking for and finding the fact of why it's applicable. Like if the project is relatively straightforward, this is sort of there's no real need to bring in a contractor immediately. If it's a greenfield, meaning like a virgin site and you're building from the ground up without complications, this is not the delivery method if you want to do that. If you have a single phase project, this isn't the one to do as well. It's this one, it's if you misapply it to very simple or straightforward projects, you're just kind of adding more complexity in where you don't really need it and cost, yeah. And where if you have projects that are renovation projects, seismic projects, have to keep operations going, have multiple phases, may have like unseen construction over the years like this facility has. It's and also that there's you want to take advantage of time too, where you can have phases overlapping. By adding all this complexity to it, it's better to have the contractor on board earlier so that you can plan ahead and actually make decisions moving forward. In both scenarios, there's still open bidding. It's just in the design bid build, you are bidding from the GC level. And in this one, there's a fee that goes to the CM to help provide those pre-construction phase services, but then all the subs go open bid, even the self-performing ones who still have that kind of benefit of competitive bidding either way.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah, I have one follow-up maybe for Sam. Does doing CMGC, does that allow for any enhanced exposure if something was to go wrong with the project, that we would be holding the bag versus if it was a standard bid process?
Just legally?
Yeah.
I don't think so. Not that, I mean, there's a higher, I mean, I'm hearing him saying it's a higher cost, but we'll have all the same protections, all same bonding protections, insurance protections, contractual obligations that we'd have in any construction project. So I don't think it changes that landscape.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, the CMGC process is actually regulated by the Oregon statutes too. So there's a very specific process that you have to go through and requirements to meet to ensure that there is competitive bidding for the project and it's not any type of favoritism or single sourcing.
And I'm only asking because the last project I was a part of that was CMGC.
Mhm.
The costs ran away and it ended in litigation and a settlement.
Ouch.
So that's why I'm asking.
Was it
The risk,
I'm sorry, but was it a commercial construction or was it more of an infrastructure project?
It was a retrofit of 2 buildings into one with state dollars.
There is also an ability to off ramp too, if you get a CM on board that even though you went through all the vetting process and the RFP process and interviews and the committee reviews, that they turn out not to be performing, you can release them and then just go down the traditional design bid build.
Yeah.
So there's always an off ramp if needed. Obviously, if you go down this route, the idea is to make it
Yeah.
work and
100%.
yeah, because yeah, so.
So I agree this makes sense for this one, but in response to Adam's question, isn't it the case, it's sort of a strength and a weakness, depending on who you get, that there's a bigger pool of people that will that will bid, and you can get the low bidder, probably a lower bidder if it's like you're building a metal building on a, like you said, a green field, where that there are more people that can bid that. I think this kind of job, it's much more expensive to bid for the contractor. They have to jump through some hoops and demonstrate some experience that is a higher level than you'd need for the simpler project. So it's a strength that you're going to be more careful about who you pick and more restrictive, but if you're just building a simpler building, it's probably going to cost you more, right?
To do a CMGC
Yeah.
method for a simple
Yeah.
building.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think maybe one other thing you might want to talk a little bit about is the seismic retrofit and the contractors, because we would probably be a little bit concerned about certain contractors doing that type of work.
So Brian our structural engineer is on the line. I don't know if he wants to address that. Brian, are you here?
Maybe.
Hello.
You might be muted.
Trina, is he there?
Yeah, he just unmuted. Brian, can you hear us?
I wonder if he's double muted.
Well,
And I do agree the CMGC is the right fit for this project. I just wanted all that.
You've had a recent bad
Yeah.
experience, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Get it out there.
and we did a CMGC back in 2010 with the water treatment plant upgrades. That project was CMGC.
did that go?
I think it went well, Chad.
Yeah, and we don't get cost overruns on those either so far.
No.
Yeah, you're also working towards a GMP, a guaranteed maximum price. So with the strategy is that by having a contractor involved early, that's informing subs, there's going to be less misunderstandings, less I don't knows, less missed pieces of the project. And then as we're working through, we are doing estimation along the way too. We're doing 3 rounds of estimation with an independent estimator helping to reconcile those bids. So hopefully, we're working towards this point of hitting that GMP so that we're reducing exposure and change orders, and we're also focusing on in this building is what we're going to get for this amount of money, so we can capture that time.
Awesome. Thank you.
As far as the seismic goes,
Yeah.
just to answer your question. Once you hire a general contractor in the CMO, of course, they're trying to make it as fair as possible for people to bid. I think there's some leverage they have on bringing in their favorite subs that they know have performed for them before. That's been our experience. I don't know legally what the rules are for that, but for the most part, we've always tried to disqualify contractors who have had a bad track record.
And I think the concern here is the technical ability of the contractor in the seismic retrofit is the key. And that's something we'll want to look at when we do the evaluations.
Okay, that's a good point.
It's fuzzy work
Mhm.
and there's high risk
Yeah.
as well.
You don't know how good it is until it happens.
That's right. Yep. So, a little bit why we're here tonight is, to go to the CMGC method is it requires an exemption from the standard procurement of the design, bid and build. The CMGC method is, regulated by Oregon statutes. An exemption is required for the CMGC services procurement. And the process is where we first have a findings of fact to show that this project is actually a qualifier for this type of delivery process, and that's sort of what we're doing right now. If the commission decides that they want to go down that route, a finding of fact would be published and open to the public with the customary amount of time for the public to review it. We would anticipate at the next commission meeting, we would have the hearing from the finding of fact. And then the commission would approve the exemption because the commission is acting as the contracting board for this project. They would approve whether the exemption would be enacted for the CMGC, and then we'd move forward with the CMGC RFP that would then be issued out, and the qualifications that would be required. We would assist the MW&L in drafting that document. And then after all the qualification review period, there's also a committee that would also review the difference and score the different applying CMGCs. And we would also make a recommendation to you at the meeting, and then you would decide which CMGC you would find as the one that you'd want for the project. And then there'd be the usual appeal period. And then if that all turned out well, then it would be a negotiation of their contract, and then we would move forward then. And the idea is to hopefully is to bring them on earlier in the design period, mid schematic design, so we have enough information from our initial assessments of the building and the designs and the programming of it, and they can come in and have an impact early on as to the direction that we will go and be a part of the project. Because one of the key things at the end of schematic design phase is we will be doing our first pricing of the project. So it'll give us our first look as to seeing how much is the value of the project.
And how does it compare to the master plan?
Yes, and then there will also be an independent estimator as well involved in that.
Okay.
So the challenges, we've talked about a few of the challenges already. Again, occupied facilities and continuous operations during construction. Economic uncertainty, I think everyone's probably aware of potential trade tariff issues that might be in the future. The project does have a fixed budget that was created under the campus master plan. We have phase construction, not only phase 0.5 and 1, but there are also sub phases to 1 because it won't be built all at once. We'll need to do the additions first and then use that as space to have the apartments move into while the center of the existing building is being renovated and strengthened. So there's going to be other intricacies in there, as well as even just completing the site development itself. Seismic strengthening, as we were just discussing, this can be a delicate process, and not only in terms of how we address the warehouse, because one of the ideas that we're having is strengthening it from the outside to avoid a lot of moving of the racks of equipment and disrupting a lot of the operations. But it's a considerable part of the project. Remodel in addition to existing facilities and any.
Sorry, back to seismic.
Sure.
Just to say one other thing about that, there's a lot of choices once we start figuring out, the correct seismic or the appropriate seismic strengthening method for existing buildings and new buildings. Do we tie them together? Do we separate them apart? I mean, it's not super complicated, but it's something that a contractor on board is really going to help us with.
Yeah, and help find the value, hopefully, in which method's best. I'm like a point of instance is the warehouse roof recently was redone. And is there a way that we can do the seismic strengthening without removing that and doing a lot of modifications to it and trying to keep that in place as best as possible? Remodel addition to existing facilities, we talked a little bit about that. Anytime you've ever done any home remodeling, there's always something that you find unknown in the walls, and it's the same with commercial buildings as well. But having a contractor on board earlier, they can do some selective demolition. We can talk with them about potential strategies to help mitigate any surprises. Site improvements and parking lot construction. Again, we're trying to keep the facility moving operational while we do all the construction. it'd be great to have a contractor on board to help have a plan for all the logistics early on. Because it does affect the overall price of the project. So what does CMGC fit the project? We have basically three topics here: cost management, timeline control, benefits to the water and light in the community, and risk mitigation. Ensuring cost and timeline control, early cost estimating, guaranteed maximum price. Like we said, we'll have three milestones that will be priced out not only by the CMGC, but also be reconciled against an independent estimator so that we can try to make sure that we're on budget and target with the design as possible. And again, there's also the guaranteed maximum price built into this method. There's ability to procure long lead items early. So as we do go through schematic design and design development, especially with electrical switchgear and transformers that can sometimes take a long time to procure, almost years sometimes, we can identify those early on and start creating a plan for how to procure them so that they're here when they need to be. Overlapping design and construction phases for faster delivery. We've already started brainstorming about, is there a way that we can have the warehouse phase start a little bit earlier than the renovation of, or simultaneously with the administration building additions and renovations, so that we can kind of capture construction time. That's one part of savings, is by shortening your overall duration, you have less people on site and less construction time. Benefits to utility community. Continuous operations with minimal public disruption. If McMinnville Water and Light can keep operations going smoothly throughout construction, that is ideal. But we also need to plan for it, and we also need to have the contractor on board to help make sure that we are coordinating when utilities are either turned on or turned off, and that make sure that people have the spaces that they need while they might be in a swing space waiting for their final space to be constructed or renovated. High quality outcomes due to collaboration. We'll have this again, the CM on board. So we'll basically be working by continuously going through value engineering about what is the best value of the different systems, products, or construction that will provide the most benefit to the project. Accountability and transparency through open book pricing.
I just want to add one more thing on the collaboration. I mean, you get what you ask for with CMGC. If the best CMGC projects in our view are the ones where the contractor is, we sort of dictate their scope. We really have a hand in crafting their scope and setting up the meetings and the collaboration and staffing requirements on their side. So there's continuity between, the CM staff and the actual people who construct. But as I said, you get what you ask for. So you have to be pretty specific about that, and we advertise for CMGC contractors.
And then, and this goes hand in hand, accountability and transparency through open book pricing. So all the sub pricing will be available to demonstrate what is the lowest bidding subcontractors for the project.
Should have put some graphics in here.
I should have made it progressing towards the colors. Oh, sorry about that. I'll have to give it your communications person. She did a great job.
The hammers and stuff going in.
Mitigating economic risk with CMGC. So early contract involvement to identify cost saving opportunities. And that could be, it ranges a whole gamut of long lead time and items that might be escalating to pre-purchase early to just systems where they're simpler and easier to construct for the project. Flexible strategies to adapt to tariff and material price changes. I think we've all been through that with COVID. And collaborative approach to manage contingencies effectively. So again, sort of what Jeff was saying, you ask what you get for it. And if we ask, then we want to make sure that they're collaborative and help us get the best project going forward. So the conclusion is we are recommending the CMGC project delivery method for this project. We see a lot of reasons why this would be an ideal candidate for it. The next steps would be setting the hearing and making the finding of fact drafts available. That's sort of why we're here tonight. I believe the finding of fact is in the
It is included in, yeah, in your packet.
packet. And if that is an acceptable direction, then the finding of fact draft would be published publicly. The commission decision, the next step is the next commission meeting to have a decision on a public hearing on the CMGC exemption. And that would basically be moving forward with the RFP process. And then it would involve not only the RFP process, but also the evaluation responses and the recommendation for which CMGC would be most suitable for the project based upon the RFP responses. And then in the April commission meeting, it would be the approval of the CMGC contractor with a notice of intent to award and a contract negotiation period. And then there would be approval of the contract in the May meeting, which again, we are trying to time to be midway through the schematic designs with a little leeway so they can ramp up, but that would be sort of the strategy for the project. Does anyone have any questions or any other thoughts that you
I have a couple. One's really basic. So if in May we approve a contract, that's just for the design phase. That's not the construction phase, right?
Correct.
Great. Thank you. The second one is sort of a follow-up on your discussion with Adam. How are we going to filter out somebody who would not perform the way we want them to? What's your process for doing that? I mean, and who do you talk to?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the first, like what Jeff was saying, is what we write in the RFP will be one of those. The other thing is by maybe doing pre-interviews. I've had a couple contracting firms already reach out, interest in the project, R&H Construction and Bremick Construction.
Both of which we like very much.
So they're going to be giving us a presentation coming up, but we'd be welcome to hearing any GCs that.
So would you also include in the RFP some type of scoring for those contractors?
For what I say.
Yeah, there will.
Immunity.
I don't understand the question.
Remember the case about the guy who was on a port commission in Coos Bay and he called somebody a log stealing SOB?
No, you don't have immunity.
I don't have immunity. Okay, I don't. Okay. So I'm going to be more careful here.
No.
It is theoretically possible that somebody could present well, both on paper and in the interviews, but there would be a lot of people who have used them before who would say, I did not have a good experience. So what I mean, but the problem with references, they'll give you only the people that did a good job for. So
We don't just call those people.
who would be doing that and how would it happen? How would it?
I guess to follow up on Tom's before he answers, is the final hire of the CM, is that in your guys' hands, or is there a scoring matrix that we're gonna actually come through and vote as a commission?
Yes, you will vote on this, you will be presented with the scores from the selection committee, and the selection will be a qualified based selection. So based on criteria, and I'm sure that there'll be proposals. And then we'll see proposals come in, we'll have the opportunity to interview the higher level proposers.
But unlike a smaller project, I don't think anybody here except for you guys would have experience or contacts that can tell us whether people doing these big jobs since Ed's off the commission, nobody really has that. So how do you do that? How are we sure, or reasonably sure, we can't be positive, but how are we reasonably sure we're not going to pick somebody who we could have been easily told if we'd asked the right people, this is not going to be fun for you.
Sorry. It's not a perfect process.
Pardon?
It's not a perfect process.
So I understand that, but
And I understand your question completely because we've had both good and bad experiences with contractors.
Right.
So many years in the business. I think the way to do that obviously is not just check their references, but check their projects, ask them about their projects. And have the freedom to call people that were involved in those projects. We're pretty well known in terms of understanding the people that are in the industry, that are project managers, that are ex-employees, sometimes working for clients. We have some contacts. So I think we can probably, find people out there that say, hey, this person, and it's all about the person.
Mhm.
It's not necessarily just the firms. It's all
Right.
about the person,
Right.
right? And get deep references for that person,
and
and a commitment.
do you have a way to identify projects that they don't tell you about?
Yeah, I mean, it is a smaller industry, so it's not just us too. No, it's not just MWA. We have WRK that works on numerous seismic retrofit projects for a public, and we also have ACC cost estimating. So they see even more projects than we do.
They see the good, the bad, and the ugly.
And they see the pricing come in, and they see if these projects are, financially, maybe they don't know all about, no, they do, they do the estimate, and they look at the drawings and everything. So they've got a pretty good handle on also another set of eyes as to who is performing well in the CMGC role. Because I had that sort of same concern, and I was talking to them about CMGC and contractors that they saw suitable, and they had good stories and they had bad stories, and they were able to say which ones.
And the process is such that if either you or we're convinced that somebody is not worth the trouble of the potential problems with them, we don't have to use them. Is that correct?
One would assume they will not score well
Yeah,
in a qualified based scoring
Okay,
system.
but so you should be prepared for me and probably Adam and probably the mayor and probably other commissioners to ask you specific kind of in-depth questions when we're asked to follow your recommendation and award a contract about how you got there and what did you do to vet this person? Is that okay?
I think that's fair. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
Who is
And it
the
won't just be-
selection committee?
yeah.
It's gonna be, we haven't determined that yet, but it's gonna be staff. MWA, they're gonna walk us through the process. They'll be part of the process, but they won't be part of the scoring committee.
Do you have an idea on the number of people?
Probably 4. That's kind of what we're looking at.
Yeah, if you've got your long list of references and the staff does their due diligence, we will be doing it as well. As Stephen says, it's a small community, and our team collectively has probably worked with this person or this contractor before.
Yeah, so MWA, they'll put together a recommendation to the commission, a written recommendation at that point in time in March or May, sorry. And kind of, we haven't, at least I personally haven't done a project to this magnitude yet, but I can apply it to the smaller projects we do. We always are checking references. And Mr. McGraw was saying, if you find the right person, don't find them all the time. But he's like, hey, have you talked to somebody,
Right.
such and such about that project? You might want to give them a call.
Good.
So I
So
do that
you'll be,
all the time.
our committee will be doing that and then asking them for more input that way, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And I think we really want to find who they're going to commit to the project.
Yeah, oh,
Because,
definitely.
like
sure.
Jeff is saying, it's like it really, there's degrees of, project managers and
Mhm.
superintendents, and you want the A team.
Yeah.
on your
Yeah,
project.
you can have a great brand of a company, but it doesn't mean you get the proper division.
Or you might have a great company that doesn't have the time to do your job.
Yeah,
So that has to be
Right.
part of the criteria.
I've seen that too.
Any other questions? Lisa, do you have any questions? Right. Commissioner Baker? Oh, here, okay. So you're asking for a action?
Yes, we do have a motion. Sam, I don't know if you want to read it, but we're requesting to post the finding of fact, which is in the commission packet tonight. Post that publicly for 14 days prior to the February 18th, 2025 public hearing. We're also asking, I guess, the commission for permission to advertise for that public hearing as well.
And I'll just say that the statute requires certain things to be addressed in the findings. One being that we're not encouraging favoritism in contracting. Also, the cost savings have to be addressed. And then there's a host of other criteria that we may address, and they're included in the proposed findings. But these findings, we will actually advertise a notice. We'll publish a notice. Both of these findings are available for review, and also we'll be having a public hearing next month on whether or not to take the exemption, because we have to take the exemption. The commission has to take the exemption before we can even publish the request for proposal for the CMGC.
So we're potentially putting a motion for tonight is that we would like the public hearing.
Right, so the motion, if I may, I'll just suggest would be, so a motion to this day, make publicly available the draft findings as presented in support of an exemption to competitive bidding in favor of an alternative contracting method under RS 279C 335(2), construction manager, general contractor, for construction of the office expansion, remodel, and warehouse seismic retrofit project, and to direct staff to publish a notice that said findings are now available for review, and publish the date of February 18th, 2025 at 5 p.m. as the date and time of the public hearing on said exemption.
I would like to make a motion as presented by council.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Did I hear Lisa? Commissioner Baker?
Aye.
All right, any other discussion before we vote?
I thought you were going to restate what he said. I was going to be very.
I had it pulled up here to read.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
No opposed, so motion passes.
Thank you. How we
Thank
doing,
you,
gentlemen?
gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Beth.
Tell Brian thanks too.
Might have.
You logged on and went to dinner.
There's a football game on tonight.
Yeah, really. All right, the next item is audit committee appointment and review of the future audits. Mark Dunmeyer, our finance director. Hi.
Hi. Thank you, Mayor and members of the commission. Each year we conduct a financial audit and because we're connected to the city, we're a department of the city, our audit becomes part of the city's audit. We audit our books and our audit is a component unit of that's how it's presented in the city's audit. And so the city issues their audit in December. And so we have historically issued ours in November, which gives the city's auditors time to take our numbers and incorporate them into their audit report. So we have an audit committee that we start our audit process in June. And so late June, the audit committee meets with the auditors and the auditors present their audit plan and there's discussion about that. And they make adjustments depending on what the audit committee, particularly we've historically had two commissioners that have been on the audit committee. And so if there's any direction from them, the auditors will incorporate that. But they want to communicate kind of what their plan is. And then we do the audit and by the early November, in prep for the commission meeting, the audit committee will meet again and review the final draft audit or the draft audit at that point. And then also discuss how the audit's gone. And so the auditors are there and present that to the audit committee. And so historically, what we've done is any changes that come out of that meeting get incorporated in the draft audit. The draft audit in final format comes to the commission at the November meeting. And then the commission historically has accepted the audit. It's always come in kind of final format without the signature. The commission has accepted that. Then senior management, we issue a management representation letter the next day that we are certifying that, to the best of our knowledge, the financial statements are accurate and that we are fully responsible for that information as our information. And with that, then the auditors sign the audit and we issue it and we get it to the city right after that. So in this last November meeting, all that was followed except when the audit came to the commission, it didn't have, so not only was it not signed, which is typical, but it also didn't have the audit opinion or the opinion on the Oregon minimum standards. Those paragraphs were left out. And so it just created a kind of a question. Hey, we're reviewing, we're approving a draft or accepting a draft as opposed to the final audit. And so there was discussion about that. And out of that discussion, I did have some discussion with our auditor about that. And so what we could do as an alternative is issue the audit before the November meeting. And then the final issued audit, the signed audit, would come to the commission in November at that meeting. And then the commission would accept that. And there's the way that we had talked about it at the November meeting was that the audit committee could be given authority to, or delegated responsibility to do the review of the audit and kind of final review. And then if the audit committee was good with whatever changes came out of that, then those changes could be executed along with the management letter before the audit then would go to the commission. So the audit that would go in the packet would be the signed audit. And that's what I had in my staff report and what the recommendation was based from what we had talked about in November. I was actually talking with our auditor, Keith Simovic, this evening, just before the meeting, about the schedule. And so I mentioned that we were going to be meeting and talking about this tonight. And I asked him, so what do you typically see? And he gave me a couple of other options, and I could mention those if that's of interest. So there's kind of two methods that he's seen. The audit is either issued before the commission or the city council would see the audit in fully. So there would be kind of like what we discussed, where we could do the audit committee review and execute the management letter, bring the final signed audit to the audit or to the commission in November. That's one way you've seen it done. The other way you've seen it done is the way we've done it historically. And the difference could be that the commission, rather than accepting the audit, it could be a conditioned acceptance, conditioned upon a clean opinion signed, no changes. Basically, what you expect you would want to accept. That if the audit is in that format, then the commission could do a conditioned acceptance. Or if there was changes at the commission meeting, the auditors with staff could make those changes, and the commission could either accept on condition of those changes with a clean opinion, or if they didn't want to do that, then we could have a separate meeting after like a special meeting after to do a final review and approve those changes and accept the audit at that point. So if we did that, I've talked to the city at different times. I didn't follow up with them. I followed up with them after the November meeting, but I didn't follow up with them here as a part of this process, developing the staff report. But I know that they are on a very tight window. Initially, this came up in November. If we delay the issuing of the audit, our plan was to make to go ahead and have the audit issued, but then have it accepted by the audit at the December meeting. And so I had talked to the city and they said that would be fine. We'll have the final numbers. We just won't be able to, the audit at that point wasn't going to be signed. It was going to be signed just before the commission meeting in December. And then the auditors came back and told them, actually, that's not okay. We got to have it now. And so anyway, the process, we ended up doing it sooner and issued the audit earlier than that. And then the audit was still accepted in December, but it was issued before. So I do know that there is a very tight timeline for the city and their audit process. So if we were to do a meeting after the November commission meeting, it would need to be, shortly after, or they would be in kind of difficult circumstances to get that incorporated. So there was one final option that he mentioned that was interesting. Rather than an audit committee meeting in early November, you could instead replace that meeting with a special commission meeting. All the commissioners could review the audit together. And if there were any changes out of that, everybody would know about it. Everybody would have input into that. And then we could go through the process of executing the management letter. And then the final signed audit would come at the November meeting and would be accepted. It's signed, it's done. So that's another option too.
On that point, could we not have that, like all of us review the audit at our October meeting, or it wouldn't be prepared by then?
Yeah, it's it's everything we can do, both from an audit standpoint and a staff standpoint, to get the audit ready for review by November. Normally, municipal audits, the reason they're typically all issued in December is just the timeline they're on. So we're compressed pretty tight. So it's just, it would be very difficult for us to move that part of it up.
And the second question I had was, do we need an answer tonight, or can we get further clarification on the city's timeline on?
Yeah, I could certainly do that. I could follow up and get additional clarification there.
That might take a little time too, because they have a new finance director.
Yeah. I know
Yeah.
the auditors. I know the auditors are, we need to get them scheduled, and the draft audit schedule that I had in the commission packet. The way that I had that listed out shows the kind of the back and forth at the end of the audit process. That's changed this year, proposed or in draft format this year, for that to result in a signed audit for the November commission meeting. So if we don't do that, then their schedule would change around a little bit at the end. So, but I think we can probably work with them on that still.
When does usually the audit committee review the audit?
Audit committee reviews the audit. It's in early November. I think it's November 5th or 6th is when.
So that could be your special meeting.
Yeah, that would be the special meeting.
Does it really take to review the audit?
Oh, we've sometimes spent a couple hours going through.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, what I'm hearing is we need to make sure we have a process that we're voting on a final audit at our November commission meeting. Is what I hear.
Yeah, I think there's another factor, and I think every solution except for the first one makes a lot of sense to me. The idea that the audit committee, which would just be 2 commissioners, would be the ones that review it and put the input in, and essentially then the commission just rubber stamps it. Doesn't make sense to me. I think it's we're really not doing our job as a commission. And I think especially this year, I think all the commissioners need to be looking at the audit and thinking about it to help them understand what's going on. So I would, and we can decide, as long as we're not going to do that, we could decide next month which of the workarounds we use, right?
Mhm.
So my suggestion would be that we reject the first alternative, which is that the audit committee makes the decision and the commission rubber stamps it. And we ask staff to come back with 1 or 2 recommendations next meeting after talking to the city.
What are we expecting to get from the city though, if we talk to them? 'Cause I think they're still gonna be deciding.
Yeah, I think just their deadline, so as long as we're good with getting a final approval by November, I don't know if we need much from the city, but if we're gonna move off, if anybody wanted to move off doing a final decision by November, then I would want clarification from the city on what their drop dead deadline is. And from what I'm gathering is it's the same audit deadline we have at the fire district, that you have to have it filed by 12/31, or you have to file for an extension, which then is like any other extension, doesn't mean that it's late.
I'm leaning towards the special meeting to just look at the audit, and
Yeah.
get it signed off.
So then
Be done.
the question would be, do you need an audit committee?
Probably not. I think we're all the audit.
There is the meeting to start the audit process. So would the commission want to have a special meeting to initiate the audit as well? The auditors, part of their standards are to communicate their audit
Okay.
plan.
Can't they do that at a regular meeting?
Or did they do it by letter last time?
Well, they did it by letter reluctantly. So
Yeah, why can't they just do it at a regular meeting?
I could talk to them about that.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
If they could be on our agenda and
Yeah.
present,
Okay.
I'm fine with a longer meeting to
Mhm.
not have a special meeting.
Right, eliminate one meeting.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a good thing.
Okay,
That'd be great.
okay.
I like that idea.
The audit review of all of us reviewing that, does that have to be that 5th or 6th of November? Does it have to be that first week, or could it be the second week of November?
There wouldn't be time to get it into the packet if we do it the second week. That's why we do it the first week. Because we need time to do any changes and now to actually go through their final review for issuance, to get it in the packet, it would be required first. week.
Plus you lose the last week in November because of Thanksgiving.
Mhm.
That's a little problem.
Yeah.
And just for clarification, what the commission is doing is actually not approving the audit. The commission is approving and directing staff to issue the management letter. And then later, when the audit's completed, then the auditor's obligation is to send the audit to the governing body. So the governing body accepts the finished audit. But it's really that management letter, which is the trigger that causes the auditor finally to finish the audit. And that's sort of the triggering of that.
And to follow up on something Mark said, our timeline is, the city has problems with theirs and ours is at least a month shorter. So
Yeah.
So that's the reason that we have to
Yeah.
be
No,
careful.
fine.
We've always tried not to mess them up. I don't know why do we need an audit committee, Sam, if we're gonna do the whole commission doing?
You want to operate if you want to operate together, you do not need a committee.
Okay, that makes sense to me.
That's me too.
And then that, we'll be able to Zoom that meeting in November, that first meeting in November.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's how we've done it in the past.
Every year,
Going
every year, it's
someplace.
the industry show
Okay,
that I speak at most of the time.
okay,
What
so
day
we
is it?
need a
Is
motion
it-
or,
Actually, I don't think we do.
We
We'll
don't?
just record these,
Okay.
this discussion in the minutes. I'm sure Ms. McManus will be able to do that.
thanks, Trina. Okay, thank you for your time and all the research.
And Mark, thanks for following up at the last minute.
Yeah.
One more, look at this. Thank you.
All right, next item is customers helping customers update with John Spence, customer service manager.
Yes, thank you. In your packet, you'll find the memo on the Customers Helping Customers update. A little bit about the program first, with all the new commission members. So the Customers Helping Customers program was created to help customers in need. It was originally started for electric only. As the program progressed, it spread to water and also to sewer from the city. McMinnville Water and Light matches dollars, so does the city of McMinnville. So that's what allows the program to reach all three of those services now. Funding is completely from customers through one-time donations or repetitive donations on their monthly bills.
And funding from the city and water and light.
Correct, and after those dollars, there's the matching from the city of McMinnville and also water and light. Some things to catch up on this last year. The program started this last year at $54,000, which was $3,000 less than the prior year, but there was an $18,000 loss in the previous year. So the donations that we got in helped slow that loss in the program. A lot of that helped was an additional $10,000 of McMinnville Water and Light matching. So we increased that from 20 to 30,000, and the city's 10,000 as well. So that really helped. We also did a funding campaign to try and put a little bit more information out on social media, bill prints to get customers to help donate a little bit more. We're going to do that again here in February. And I think the biggest, the main reason that we're asking again is just looking to maintain that $3 match of McMinnville Water Lines, which is $2.50 for the electric fund, 50 cents from the water side. And we're going to change up a little bit this year. We're going to try and get back to the fiscal year. So we're only looking out for the 6 months. So only looking for a $15,000 max. And then I'll bring something back in June, at the end of June, to get it more on track with our fiscal year.
John, I'm not sure that everybody in the audience has the packet. So could you just tell us briefly how much is spent to help customers and where that comes from, please?
Yeah, so the money comes from customer donations. The funds are matched by McMinnville Water and Light and City up to a maximum amount. And are you looking for how much was actually assisted in the program?
What we did last year.
Yep, so this last calendar year, the fund provided a little over $62,000 assistance to customers in need. That was about 400 households, 700 adults, and 500 children. So a pretty successful year. And looking, like I said, in February to put a little notice out there again in a campaign to just kind of help increase the donations.
Thank you. And that was the city and water and lights contribution plus the customer contribution. Right?
Correct. Customer donations came in around $14,000, and then with the city's match and the McMinnville Water and Lights match, I think we ended up with quite a bit more than last year.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
No.
No? All right, so this one we need a motion. Do you have one written there?
I do. So we've been looking at a motion to approve the combined electric and water ratio. The water and light contributes in matching donations to the Customer Helping Customers Program Fund of $3 for every $1 donated, broken out to $2.50 for the electric fund and 50 cents for the water fund, with a maximum 6-month combined contribution amount of $15,000 for the remainder of the current fiscal year ending on June 30th, 2025.
I'm back to make a motion.
So
as
moved.
presented.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Great. Hey, you're
You-
dismissed. All right. General Manager John Dietz.
So we've actually changed up a little bit. So prior to this month, usually just meant the general manager just made comments. So this month we changed and we've actually added a written report from the general manager and departments for the commission. And if you have any questions on that, we're going to move forward. We're going to do something similar to that.
Okay.
We'll be adding that in the packet monthly.
Great.
It was something from the last review of the general manager. So if there's any questions on that report?
I thought it was very helpful.
Okay.
I didn't realize it was new. Great.
Yeah. So that's something we'll be doing going forward.
I couldn't tell it was the first one.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
I love all the details, all the information and the retention rates and all of that.
Yeah, the retention rates were awesome this
Yeah,
year.
Yes.
that's
very
something
impressive.
we're very proud of here. We try to do very good. Marcy does great on keeping us the data up to date.
Joe Marcy. Okay, any question? Any? Nope.
I have a
Alright.
quick question.
Oh.
Does the rest of the commission know that if you have questions, that when you get the packet, it is appropriate to call John and one of two things can happen. One, just you can just warn him that, you know, and so that way he's either prepared with a response to your crazy idea, or he can get the information for us, which is more likely. The second thing that can happen is you can get information that answers your question, but then the question comes, you may want to ask it anyway, because if you had the question, probably the rest of us do too. So, but I would encourage you to do it. I've never had him not return my call. So I think it's a good thing, and then I would always call John first, and then he can, you know, if there's something that's a specialized question, he can direct us to the staff person, but he would do that. Otherwise, he'll talk to the staff person to get back to us.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, do any commissioners have any comments they want to make at this time?
Great, first meeting, Mayor.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, I'm excited the way things are going. This is great.
Good. Thank you. So there's financials and information included in your packet. Make sure you've seen those. And now we're gonna go into our, I just have to say, I really appreciate this part too, the financials and being able to have it very clear. I've got more information than I,
So I would also add maybe one thing on that. So Mark usually does a kind of a snapshot of the financials, and then there's detail behind that. So if you have questions on something there, and I can help you with the detail, or I can have Mark help you. So,
okay,
because some of it is kind of lumped together, but he usually knows what's in each bucket. So
I bet he does.
What financial software produces these reports?
that's through our ABS software, our NSC software. So that is our business system software. So that not only is it the financials, it's the customer service, it's the engineering, it's all one software package.
Gotcha.
I like it. Okay, so now we're gonna go into executive session.
I,
There's that. Oh, go ahead, go ahead.
Thank you. So we're going to enter executive session pursuant to RS 192-660 sub 2 sub F to consider information records exempt from public disclosure under RS 192-345 sub 23, revealing security measures to protect individuals, buildings, property, and information processing, and RS 192-660 sub 2 sub B to consider matters related to cybersecurity, infrastructure, and responses to cybersecurity threats. I don't know that we have anybody from the media today, but we did. They'd be cautioned not to share anything in this or from this executive session that relates to those topics. We are not going to, we will not come back into open session. So the meeting will be adjourned. We'll be ending the open session shortly to go into executive session. We will not return to an open session. There will be no further decision making tonight in this public meeting.
Do we need to close the meeting then, right now? Okay, so close the meeting at 6:30.